Mister, please help us save him.
What's wrong with the baby?
He's sick. We have nowhere to go.
I can't keep avoiding this. It's time to face the city.
The January wind howled through Manhattan's financial district like a vengeful ghost, sending sheets of ice and snow slicing across the pavement with brutal force. Christopher Vaughn stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office on the 47th floor, watching the city below disappear into a wall of white. His reflection stared back at him, expensive suit, graying temples, eyes that looked decades older than his 42 years. Another board meeting concluded. Another billion-dollar deal closed. Another day of building an empire that felt increasingly hollow. At 42, he'd transformed Vaughn International Properties from a modest development firm into a real estate powerhouse that reshaped city skylines. But success had come with a price. 5 years ago, his 7-year-old daughter Lily had died from leukemia. 6 months after that, his wife, unable to bear the grief, unable to look at the man who reminded her of everything they'd lost, had left. His Fifth Avenue penthouse was a mausoleum of untouched memories. His life was full of achievements and devoid of meaning. He was working late because going home meant facing the silence, meant walking past that locked door, Lily's room, exactly as she'd left it, gathering dust behind a barrier he couldn't bring himself to cross. Tonight, 11 p.m., he was the last person in the building. His driver had texted, stuck in the storm on the other side of the city. Christopher had told him not to bother. He'd walk to his car in the underground garage. Maybe the cold would help him feel something. Anything. Even pain was better than the numbness that had become his constant companion. The elevator descended in silence. The grand marble lobby echoed with his footsteps. And then, pushing through the heavy glass doors into the freezing night, he saw her. A teenage girl huddled against the building's entrance, pressed into the small alcove that offered minimal shelter from the wind. She was soaking wet, shivering so violently her teeth chattered audibly. Her clothes, thin jacket, worn jeans, sneakers with holes, were utterly inadequate for the brutal cold. But it was what she held that made Christopher freeze mid-step. A bundle wrapped in newspaper and what looked like torn pieces of cardboard, clutched desperately against her chest. And from that bundle came a sound that pierced through the howling wind, a baby's cry, so weak and fragile it barely registered above the storm. The girl looked up, her eyes, dark, desperate, but somehow still fierce, locked onto his. Before we dive into this incredible story, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I love seeing how far this channel reaches. And if you enjoy powerful emotional stories with real-life lessons, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Please, her voice cracked, raw from cold and something deeper. Please, sir. She took a step toward him, stumbling slightly, the bundle shifting in her arms. My baby sister is dying. Christopher's hand moved toward his phone, security on speed dial, but froze. The girl's eyes held something he recognized. Desperation. The kind that comes when you've tried everything and found the world doesn't care. How long has she been sick? 3 days. Maybe 4. I lost track. Tiana's words tumbled out. Every shelter's full. The emergency room said without ID, without proof she's mine, they'd call child services. They'd separate us. Christopher stepped closer. The baby's lips were blue, skin mottled gray, breathing shallow and raspy. He'd heard that sound before, in a hospital room where machines couldn't save his daughter. But this wasn't leukemia. This was exposure. Pneumonia. Things money and immediate action could fix. Come with me. Now. He pulled out his phone, dialing a number he hadn't called in months. Sam, it's Christopher. I need you at my penthouse immediately. Infant. 10 months. Severe respiratory distress. She's critical. He shrugged off his $5,000 overcoat, wrapped it around both girls. Then he reached for hope, hands trembling as they slid beneath the newspaper. The baby's weight was almost nothing. When had he last held an infant? 7 years ago. Before everything fell apart. His hand shook. Tiana saw it, saw the stranger's fear, and something shifted in her expression. "Do you trust me?" Christopher asked. Tiana looked at Hope's blue lips, at the empty street where no one else had stopped. "I don't have a choice." Christopher's town car cut through the storm, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle against the snow. In the back seat, Tiana held Hope against her chest, rocking instinctively. The baby had stopped crying. Christopher knew enough to recognize the danger in that silence. "Sam, she's lethargic. Breathings maybe 20 breaths per minute, shallow. Lips cyanotic. Skin's gray." He rattled off symptoms while watching Hope's tiny chest struggle to rise and fall. Dr. Harris's voice came through tight with concern. "Chris, that sounds like severe pneumonia, possibly sepsis. You need to get her to an ER immediately. Can you treat her at my home?" Long pause. "If she's as bad as you describe, can you or can't you?" "I'll be there in 10 minutes." Tiana stared at him, this stranger in an expensive suit breaking every rule to save a baby he'd never met. "Why are you doing this?" Christopher didn't answer immediately. He just watched Hope's face, so small, so fragile. Finally, "Because someone has to." The building's doorman stammered as they rushed through the entrance. Christopher didn't slow. "Dr. Harris is arriving. Send him directly up. Find me children's fever medication, blankets, bottled water. Now." In the elevator, Tiana caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. Soaked, filthy, utterly out of place in this palace of marble and gold. Christopher saw her shrinking back. Ignore the mirrors. Focus on your sister. Then Hope's chest stopped moving. Christopher's training kicked in before conscious thought. He took the baby, laid her on the elevator floor, 2 fingers on her tiny sternum. Compression, compression, compression. Tiana's scream filled the small space. Hope gasped, coughed, breathed. "Thank you," Tiana sobbed. "Thank you, thank you." Christopher's penthouse was exactly what Tiana expected from the outside. Immaculate, expensive, sterile. A museum of wealth that no one actually lived in. He laid Hope on a white leather couch without hesitation, melted snow and grime immediately staining the pristine surface. He didn't even glance at it. His hands moved with surprising efficiency. Digital thermometer against Hope's forehead, fingers checking her pulse, adjusting blankets to keep her warm but not overheated. 104, he murmured, more to himself than to Tiana. Dr. Harris arrived 10 minutes later, medical bag in hand, questions in his eyes. His examination was swift. His verdict immediate. Severe pneumonia, dehydration, malnutrition. "Chris, this baby needs a hospital. Can you treat her here?" Dr. Harris met his old friend's eyes, understanding this was about more than medicine. "I can stabilize her, start 4 antibiotics and fluids. But if she takes a turn, she won't. Treat her here." While the doctor worked, Christopher led Tiana to the kitchen. She was shaking, shock, cold, fear all combined. He handed her dry clothes, his own sweatpants and sweater absurdly large on her thin frame. Hot soup appeared, tea, things she hadn't seen in months. The story came slowly. Parents dead at 13. Foster care. 5 homes in 3 years, each worse than the last. Hope born to her last foster mother. Abandoned when Tiana aged out. 6 months homeless. 6 months of begging, stealing, staying awake all night to keep Hope safe. Christopher listened, seeing not a criminal but a child who'd become a mother out of love. Dr. Harris emerged, exhausted. "She's stabilized. But she needs ongoing care, proper nutrition, a safe environment. Without that." He didn't finish. They all understood. "They'll stay here," Christopher heard himself say. "As long as necessary. Chris, you can't just." I can. And I am. Dawn broke over Manhattan in shades of pink and gold, the storm finally exhausted. Christopher hadn't moved from his post outside the guest room, back against the wall, legs stretched across expensive hardwood. At 6, he eased the door open. Hope's fever had broken. Her breathing came easier, deeper. Tiana was curled around her baby sister, protective even in sleep, both of them peaceful for the first time in months. Something shifted in Christopher's chest. The first crack in 5 years of ice. His phone buzzed at 8. Patricia Chen, his lawyer. Chris, we need to talk about legal implications. You have an underage minor and an infant with no legal guardianship paperwork. If anyone finds out, then make it legal. File emergency guardianship papers. Long pause. Are you sure you know what you're doing? No. Do it anyway. Reality crashed in fast. Pediatric nurse hired, Mrs. Ellen Rodriguez, who'd raised 4 children and asked no questions. Doctor's appointment scheduled for Tiana. Bedroom furniture ordered. Clothes. Formula. Diapers. Things he hadn't thought about in years. The news leaked by noon. Billionaire real estate mogul rescues homeless teen and baby sister. His phone exploded. He ignored every call. Tiana emerged from the shower transformed. Young, pretty, terrified. She explored the penthouse like a museum, touching things as if they might burn. Then she stopped at the hallway photos. Her eyes found the locked door. You lost someone. Christopher's throat tightened. My daughter. 5 years ago. I'm sorry. Me too. Hope reached for his finger then, smiling. Tiny hand wrapped around his. He felt something he'd thought was dead. Purpose. 3 weeks blurred together in a rhythm Christopher had forgotten existed. The tutor he'd hired for Tiana, Mr. James Winters, recommended by the best private schools, returned after 1 session looking stunned. She's reading at college level. Her math scores are extraordinary. This girl should be in university, not remedial courses. Christopher found Tiana in the library, surrounded by books she'd pulled from shelves. Your tutor says you're brilliant. She shrugged, defensive. My parents were teachers. They homeschooled me until they died. I loved learning. I just never had the chance to continue. Hope's transformation was equally remarkable. Dr. Harris marveled at her resilience. Developmental delays from malnutrition, yes, but reversible. Christopher found himself relearning baby care. Bottles at 2 a.m. Diapers. The weight of a child who actually trusted you. It was exhausting. It was healing. The nightmares came the second week. Tiana's screams pulled Christopher from his own restless sleep. He found her thrashing, sobbing. It's my fault. The accident. They were coming to pick me up. If I hadn't called them. No. He sat on the edge of her bed. First time he'd comforted anyone in years. Accidents aren't caused by love. Your parents were coming for you because they loved you. That's proof of how much you mattered to them. Patricia insisted on therapy before the guardianship hearing. Dr. Michael Torres, first session. Tell me about Lily. Christopher hadn't spoken her name aloud in years. The floodgates opened. Guilt, anger, fury at whatever had taken his child. You're helping Tiana and hope to save yourself, Dr. Torres said. Is that wrong? No. It's human. Just make sure you're honest about it. One evening, Christopher found Tiana in his study, tears streaming down her face as she looked at Lily's photo. She was beautiful. Yes. He sat beside her. You must miss her so much. Every second of every day. Does it get easier? No. But you learn to carry it. And sometimes, helping someone else carry their weight makes yours feel lighter. Tiana started calling him Christopher instead of Mr. Vaughn. Hope reached for him first now. He slept through the night. 3 weeks after the rescue, Christopher stood in family court before Judge Maria Castellanos. His legal team had filed emergency guardianship papers. Social worker Grace Miller presented her report. Environment safe, children thriving, but highly irregular. No prior relationship. Significant wealth disparity. Christopher's history of depression after his daughter's death. The judge's eyes fixed on him. Mr. Vaughn, you have no legal obligation to these children. No family connection. Your business demands significant time. You're a single man with no parenting experience in 5 years. Why are you doing this? Christopher's throat tightened. Your Honor, 3 weeks ago I was existing, not living. I built an empire to distract myself from failing at the only thing that mattered, saving my daughter. When I found Tiana and Hope, my instinct was to call someone else, let professionals handle it. But then I looked at Hope, and I saw Lily. I saw a child dying while people with resources stood by and did nothing. I couldn't be that person. Not again. Grief doesn't disappear by locking it away. It transforms when you channel it into something that matters. Tiana has taught me what courage looks like. Loving fiercely when you have nothing. Hope has taught me that joy can exist alongside sorrow. I'm not replacing my daughter. I'm honoring her memory by becoming the person she believed I was. Someone who uses resources to help, not hide. These girls need stability. I need purpose. We're saving each other. That's what family does. The judge studied him for a long moment. Temporary guardianship granted. 6 months. Monthly reviews. Mandatory therapy continuation. Outside, media swarmed. Christopher shielded Tiana and Hope. This is private. Respect these children's privacy. Later, Tiana whispered, You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. You're not a story. You're my responsibility now. 6 months after the rescue, life had found its rhythm. Tiana excelled in online courses. Hope babbled through pediatric checkups. Christopher restructured his entire schedule to be present for dinner, bedtime, the mundane moments that had become sacred. They were becoming a family. Then Patricia requested an urgent meeting. Background investigation uncovered something, she said, spreading files across his desk. Tiana's parents, Dr. Robert Moore and Dr. Elena Moore. Robert worked for Vaughn International 18 years ago. Senior architect on the Crown Tower project. Christopher's stomach dropped. Patricia continued. He raised concerns about structural integrity calculations. Someone falsified safety reports to cut costs. He took his findings to your business partner, Marcus Reeves. Shortly after, Robert was fired. 3 months later, he and his wife died in a single-car accident. Brake failure. I was abroad during that period, Christopher said slowly. I never knew. The tower was completed. No issues reported. Reeves handled everything. He remembered something else. Reeves pushed me out 2 years later. Hostile takeover. He told Tiana that evening. She broke down completely. I always knew something was wrong. My parents were careful. The car was just serviced. And my dad was stressed, scared. He told my mom he was doing the right thing, even if it cost his job. 2 days later, Patricia called again. Marcus Reeves filed a counterpetition for custody. Claims Robert Moore named him guardian in his will. Forged, Christopher said immediately. Probably. But he's making noise. If Tiana remembers her father's work, she's a liability. Christopher found Tiana in the library. I won't let him take you. Either of you. I don't care what it costs. Why are you doing this? It's dangerous now. You could walk away. I couldn't save my daughter from disease. I couldn't save your parents from a corrupt murderer. But I can save you. And I will. 8 months after the rescue, the courtroom felt like a battlefield. Marcus Reeves sat across the aisle, expensive suit, practiced smile, presenting himself as successful businessman and family friend. His lawyer painted Christopher as unstable, depressed, using the girls for publicity. Christopher's team countered methodically. Hope's dramatic health improvement. Tiana's educational progress. Testing into advanced placement. Dr. Harris testified about Christopher's consistent care. Grace Miller surprised everyone. In 15 years of social work, I've never seen a more devoted guardian. Then Patricia stood, holding a folder. Your Honor, we've uncovered new evidence regarding Robert Moore's death. Forensic analysis suggests brake tampering. Financial records link Marcus Reeves to the contractor who falsified Crown Tower safety reports. Reeves's lawyer objected. Irrelevant. Judge Castellanos leaned forward. It establishes motive for Mr. Reeves's sudden interest in these children. I'll allow it. Tiana took the stand, 17 now, poised despite her shaking hands. She spoke about her parents' love, 6 months on streets, the terror of watching Hope die. Then she looked directly at Christopher. Mr. Reeves says he cared about my parents. But he didn't care when I was in foster care. When I was homeless. He cares now because I'm inconvenient, because I represent something dangerous to him. Mr. Vaughn didn't have to help us. He did it because it was right. Despite his grief, his pain. He opened his home and heart when he had every reason to keep them closed. That's not instability. That's courage. I'm not asking you to give me to someone who claims to have known my parents. I'm asking you to let me stay with the man who's been a father when I needed one most. Judge Castellanos didn't hesitate. Full permanent guardianship granted to Christopher Vaughn. Mr. Reeves's petition denied. His conduct will be referred for criminal investigation. Outside, media swarmed. Christopher shielded both girls. Today justice was served. But more importantly, a family was protected. Hope tugged his hand. Dada. The cameras caught the moment Christopher's eyes filled with tears. 18 months after the rescue, they stood in the same courtroom. But this time, Judge Castellanos was smiling. Tiana was 18 now, could legally leave. Instead, she'd asked to be adopted. Hope, nearly 2, squirmed on Christopher's lap, babbling happily. Tiana, do you understand what adoption means? The judge asked. It means choosing family. It means making official what's already true in our hearts. The judge looked at Hope. And what do you want, sweetheart? Hope pointed at Christopher. Dada. Then at Tiana. Titi. I think that's clear enough. Judge Castellanos signed the papers. You're officially a family. That evening, the penthouse had transformed. Toys scattered across floors. Tiana's textbooks on tables. Hope's crayon drawings covering the refrigerator. The museum had become a home. Christopher led Tiana to the door she'd seen closed for 18 months. He opened it. Lily's photos remained on one wall, but the rest had been transformed. Desk, bookshelves, college prep materials. This was my daughter's room. For 5 years I couldn't open it. But you taught me something. Grief and love aren't opposites. They coexist. Lily will always be my daughter. But love isn't finite. Having a new family doesn't erase the old one. It honors it. Tiana hugged him, crying, "Thank you for saving us. Thank you for saving me." They visited Lily's grave the next morning, first time in 3 years. Tiana placed flowers. "Hi, Lily. I'm Tiana. This is Hope. We're your dad's family now. I think you'd be okay with it. You had an amazing dad. We're lucky to have him too. Thank you for sharing him with us." Christopher's hand rested on the headstone. I miss you every day, sweetheart. But I'm okay now. We're all okay. They walked away together, hope between them holding both their hands. Three people who'd found each other in the darkest moment and created light together.
And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it or learned something new, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps support the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.